Hey y'all, I'm Yaya. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. And today we are back with another magical book series. Of course, we're sticking with the Antoine Bandela Ella. With the TJ Young in the Orisha series, we have accumulated 3 books so far because he just released the 3rd book. Now for today, the new book, we have TJ Young in the Orishas, which is book 3, The Heroes, Equinox. So we're going to go over, let me put it. So we're going to dive just a little bit, stick our toe in for what this book is about. But in these videos, I try not to give you guys the full story because I do want you guys to read these books and have your own takeaway as well, and to support the author. We'll get more into that in a few. But also in these stories as well, you must know, like, these are not like boring reality shows. Everybody got a storyline. You're going to learn about everybody and their mama, literally. You get to know everyone's background. So keep that in mind as well. So it's very in-depth. As you can see, it's very thick, so you got a lot to go through. Okay, so for these stories, a lot of you guys are already familiar with the author, but I still like to share his stories because I feel like it's nice to have a Black author who is creating these type of series when it comes to Orisha, African folklore, Ifa, and just learning more about our history in a way that's not boring or too factual where you're like in the 1800s. So this series is really interesting, and it does not stop with book 3. Antoine is actually working on a lot of more stuff, and I want to share his video so we can all come together to support.
Hey, I'm Antoine Bandela, the author of the TJ Young and the Orishas series, a YA fantasy inspired by West African mythology and the divine power of the Orishas. In the story, TJ's older sister is supposed to be the promised child, but she sort of dies at the beginning, and the oracles are kind of like, whoops, I guess we got that one wrong. And so they look to TJ, but then TJ is like, hey, I don't have any magic. So he's sent to a remedial magic camp in Louisiana with talking alligators and walking trees. And eventually he uncovers ancient secrets, divine politics, and the truth behind his sister's death. Since its release, it's received hundreds of reviews and has even been optioned for a motion picture. Now I'm collecting the first 3 books in the series into a hardcover omnibus, featuring a brand new cover, deleted scenes, author commentary, and exclusive artwork. And the omnibus will not be available for an entire year, so if you want to get it now, if you want to get it early, Kickstarter is the best way to do that. And also live events if you ever see me at a live event. Right now I'm aiming for $1,300, which will cover the cost for the cover itself and the campaign cost. And if we go further than that, we'll unlock some other awards that I know you guys will love. Back the campaign today, spread the word, and help bring TJ's journey into the hands of fantasy readers everywhere. I'll see you guys later. Thank you.
So TJ Young's journey in this installment of the series isn't about magic, war, or just simply gods. It's about the growing pains of a young boy caught between adolescence and his spiritual awakening. You guys know how we all have a spiritual awakening. Usually it's at like an adult age where you can kind of make more sense of stuff. Your frontal lobe is now fully developed. This is a kid, so he's discovering himself, his magical gifts, the spiritual world all at once. So Act 1 opens up with TJ being transported to the Court of All. So think of the Court of All as like a very godly courtroom, right? But in this story, it's not just Orisha sitting up in there. So it's more than Oshun, Oya, and all of them. You have Greek gods up in there. You have Hindu gods up in there. All of the gods across every single pantheon, everybody is up in this courtroom. It's a powerful metaphor uniting global beliefs in a single arena where they must come together to protect what remains of the world's magic against an external force, a threat called the God Eaters. So we have the Court of All, basically a big old family reunion for every spirit, every god across everything. Okay, then we have the God Eaters, which is basically like a force, like, we need to get all this magical stuff up out of here, we need to get all these gods up out of here, it's too many of them, let's get rid of them. So in the Court of All, remember, big thrones, big gods, all the gods, they're sitting down looking amongst TJ, because little old TJ got brought into this court not because he's just oh so magical, oh so talented, you're about to be a new god, we want to initiate you. No, he's on trial because they're blaming him for the death of Thor. So they're like, listen, what's going on? We really feel like it's your fault. Like, hey, we missing a chair is empty here. You see, where's Thor? Okay, so who's over the trial? And this is a good introduction to the different gods and their roles and how it all comes together. So first we have Themis, who is the Greek goddess of justice. Then we have Yamadharmaraja or Yamaraja, which is a Hindu god of death and justice. And then we have Forseti, which is the god of recollection. So there are other gods that are over the case, but those are the three main ones. So now we know the gods that are over the case. TJ now needs an attorney, basically. So he chooses his friend Ayodeji. So they go through a bunch of magical trials. So now TJ is on probation. And with him being on probation, you know, it's restricted. You can't go here, you can't go there. So they're not necessarily worried about that. They're cautious of the fact that TJ knows how to hop realms. So they're like, listen, while you're on probation and while we investigate why Thor died on Shango's watch, we need you to pick a realm. Stay in the mortal realm. Don't go into like the magical realm, because we're already trying to deal with the god eaters and them trying to take away powers. We don't need you hopping over there. We need to keep our eye on you while we try to figure out what's going on. So you know how usually with probation, they're like, hey, you can't go within this many miles. You can't go in this county. They're like, hey, you can't go in this realm. You can't go in that realm, which is unique to TJ because he's one of the few mortals who actually know how to do that. So let's recap the first part. We got TJ on probation. We have Oya and Shango, who's about to go through channeling to disperse their powers out as punishment because they're being accused of the death of Thor as well. Then that upsets the elder Orisha, so they're like, listen, Operation Stormbreak, we can't let this happen. So that's Act 1, and it really sets the scene for the tone of the rest of the story. Like basically with the Court of All, what I took away from it, it was nice seeing that not only the Orisha there, but all of the gods are mixed in, which shows the important role that each god, each spirit, each beliefs plays, and how they all come together for a common purpose to protect their magic, their qualities, their spiritual gifts from the god eaters. So along with the god eaters Court of All going on, then we have the Court of All that got TJ on probation that's trying to take away some of Oya and Shango power. So Act 2 introduces more depth as we shift from epic trial to internal conflict. Manny's, TJ's best friend and low-key romantic interest, is tied to Oya and Yemoya. So to reach Oya, who is in prison, they must go through Yemoya, who's hidden in a secret dimension known as the Frost Realm. And this realm is a beautiful intersection of African and Norse mythology born from an alliance between Yemoya and the Asgardians. Together they created a space where frost magic and ocean currents coexist, all in an effort to reconnect with the long-lost Olodumare. So this segment introduces inter-pantheon magic as both solution and a taboo. It also dives into a little family drama. So Manny, her sister died after joining a cultish type of group called the Keepers, which had ties to TJ's older sister. So this revelation unfolds within the Frost Realm and catalyzes a little confrontation between Manny and her Catholic aunt, who was a former Santeria practitioner. Now we have another battle that's going on, like African beliefs and colonial religions. Then there's Ayodeji, and his story is steeped in spiritual tension and family loyalty. His father is a Shango purist. He only honors Shango. He forbids any type of Ogun reverence due to a family tragedy that happened that you'll discover in the book. So due to this tragedy, his father's like, listen, I don't mess with Ogun, only Shango. That's it. That's all. When usually with Orisha, it's like, okay, we kind of tap into all of them. You know, we know the role that all of them plays. But in this book, you see, I like this Orisha. I don't like that one. Okay, you got the African version. I got Santeria. So it also shows in the book, you got to take away some of those boxed in beliefs and really become open-minded, because you're going to be limiting yourself. If you try to cut off one Orisha, imagine the opportunities, the possibilities, the awakenings that you're cutting off because you're like, I had a bad experience, so bump them. As if you're not supposed to go through anything in life and things just don't happen, but placing blame on the spirit, on a god when you get mad at them for something. Kind of like when we do some type of ritual and we utilize an Orisha or a spirit and it may not work when we want it to work, how we want it to work. So we be like, I ain't gonna use Oshun no more. She don't work. It's like, what? So the whole Orisha don't work just because this one little plan didn't work out? So Ayo, recognizing the necessity of invoking Ogun to reach Shango, which is a part of the whole mission, he has to break this taboo and pledges himself to Ogun, goes against against his father. And in doing so, he sacrifices the full extent of his Shango-linked power, stepping into the gray area between divine devotion and spiritual agency. While all of this is going on, you have TJ Young and Manny crushing on each other. She's going to her quinceañera, so he's discovering like the Hispanic culture, which introduces more of the Santeria aspect. You have TJ's African culture, you have Manny's Hispanic culture, so you have those two colliding. It's just a lot of merging and mixing and blending in the story, which blurs the lines that separates different religions, beliefs, and cultural practices. It shows a commonality that they all have and how they all can play together for a common mission. Now we have a play of the Black and Brown mystical tradition. So the main thing that I like about this book is the overall theme of bringing all the gods, all the spirits, all the beliefs together, and shows the roles that each one play, and it shows like a personification of the person that only worship this deity or is against deity or is against this religion, and shows how it's all some type of commonality mixed in and how they all play a role, which is something I feel like we should bring into everyday life, because I'm not a person that's like, oh, you practice this, girl, that's wrong. Oh, you practice this, boy, that's wrong. It's whatever works for you, and you can see how each thing works for each person and how they eventually open up to discover new beliefs as well and how they can utilize it. So even though this series is TJ Young and the Orisha, you see a lot more elements coming into play, which makes the story even more dynamic and interesting, because you're not reading the same thing each story. And it's like as we see TJ grow, we grow with him because he's discovering new things and we're discovering new things. And then like understanding the journey of TJ as well, like you're learning about his spiritual gifts that he's figuring out himself, but then he's also a teenage boy and likes somebody, but then you're also a teenager and you're discovering things that's going on with your family, trying to gain your independence, but your family's trying to protect you as well. And then also with discovering TJ's powers as well, he's crafting a staff, and to me the staff basically like a little the staff is symbolic, and to me the way he crafted the staff with different elements and different trinkets from different beliefs and religions and cultures, it kind of is symbolic to the overall story as well, and reminds me of the Court of All, how everybody, every god, every spirit is mixed in. So his staff is almost a reflection of the journey that he's on, and you can almost see like what each little trinket mean, why he put that there. And to me this is expanding on his power, not limiting to, oh, I just interact with Orisha. It's like, no, I have to kind of interact with everything going on right now and discovering different gifts. And it teaches you as well without boring you. And when each one of these books get turned into a movie, I need to play somebody's sister, cousin, auntie, somebody, the local witch lady. I need to be in there. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. And like I always say, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. Until next time, you guys, Ashe, baby.